All right, let's jump right in. When you think about a famous number, your mind probably goes to something like pi, right? Or maybe the golden ratio. Numbers that are famous for what they are. But what if a number was famous for a totally different reason? Not for its value, but for how ridiculously, stubbornly difficult it is to actually calculate that value. And that's really the big question we're tackling here. What if the whole point was the chase? Today, we're going to talk about a number that isn't just a string of digits. Nope, it's a story. A 25-year story of obsession, of supercomputers, and the incredible hunt for what you might call a mathematical ghost. So what is this thing? Well, it's called the MRB constant, and it's named after the guy who first started investigating it, Marvin Ray Burns. And right from its definition, you can tell this thing is different. You gotta love that phrase, right? Hostile to naive numerical evaluation. I mean, that's just fantastic. It basically means all the simple, obvious ways you'd normally try to calculate a number just completely, totally fail here. Imagine trying to walk to a wall, but with every step you take, your next step has to be half the size of the last one. You'll keep getting closer and closer, sure, but it feels like it takes forever to actually get there. That's kind of what it's like trying to pin this number down.
And the mystery just keeps getting deeper. Unlike pi, we can't just write it down with some neat little formula. We don't even know its most basic identity. Is it a simple fraction if you go out far enough? Or is it something wild and transcendental like pi? We honestly have no clue. This constant is hanging out right on the fringes of what we understand about math.
So you're probably thinking, if it's this difficult and this mysterious, why on earth would anyone spend decades trying to calculate it? Well, and this is really the key to the whole story. It turns out the answer has almost nothing to do with the actual digits themselves. This quote just nails it. The real value of the MRB constant isn't the number you get at the end. The value is in the struggle. It's a benchmark. It's a challenge that we throw at our smartest people and our fastest machines just to see what they can do. And this is why that struggle is so important. Trying to compute this constant is like a stress test for our entire mathematical toolkit. It pushes our algorithms to their absolute breaking point. It actually forces different areas of math, totally different ideas, to come together and agree on one single precise answer. So every new digit isn't some kind of trophy you put on a shelf. It's hard proof that our theories, our code, and our computers are actually working the way we think they are. So let's talk about the human side of this, because this isn't just some abstract problem on a blackboard. It's a personal quest that's been going on for a quarter of a century, all driven by that original investigator, Marvin Ray Burns. Just look at this timeline. It's incredible. You can see this journey of pure perseverance, from these humble beginnings to these massive computations. But man, look at 2008. Can you even imagine? Months of work, 300,000 digits of progress, completely wiped out, literally washed away by Hurricane Ike. But he didn't stop. The quest went on. Let's look a little closer at some of these moments. It all started right here. 500 digits. Back then, that was a huge deal. But really, it was just the first step on a very, very long road. Then, boom, less than 10 years later, a huge leap forward to 100,000 digits. You can already see things starting to speed up, right? Better computers, smarter algorithms. The chase is on. And then things got really serious. Dr. Richard Crandall, who was the chief cryptographer at Apple at the time, jumped in. He brought some serious computational horsepower and just blew right past the 1 million digit mark. Which brings us to the current record from 2022, 6.5 million digits. And get this, it was computed by Burns on what he calls his MRB constant supercomputer. And what is that? It's a network of high-end, off-the-shelf PCs he put together. How cool is that? So, in all those millions and millions of digits, something kind of weird started to pop up. For some reason, the digit 4 shows up way more often than any other number, followed by 0 and 8. And we have no idea why. Is it just a random statistical fluke? Or is it some deep clue about the constant's true nature? It's just one more mystery stacked on top of the others. This whole quest is also an amazing story about technology. I mean, the evolution of computing power over these 25 years is just staggering. Let's see what that actually looks like. I mean, just look at this comparison. It's totally mind-blowing. The first big calculations were done on a computer with a 350 megahertz processor and 64 megabytes of RAM. Today's machines are literally thousands of times more powerful, with 1,000 times more memory. It's a different world. And this table really puts it all into perspective. Something that took 2 hours back in 1999, a modern computer can do it in less than a second. And get this, what took 170 hours, that's a full week of nonstop computing in 2007, we can now do in under a minute. It's just a wild demonstration of how far technology has come. Okay, so this brings us back to that big, fundamental question. With all of this time, all of this effort, all this incredible technology, why? What is it that drives a person to chase a single, obscure number for a quarter of a century? Marvin Ray Burns himself puts it so simply and so powerfully. He says, "C'est ma raison d'être." It is my reason for being. For him, this isn't just a math problem or a hobby. It's a passion. It's his life's work. And here, he borrows a line from the famous mountaineer George Mallory. You know, when Mallory was asked why he wanted to climb Mount Everest, he famously replied, "Because it's there." Burns says that's exactly why he computes this number. It's about the challenge. It's about exploration. It's about that human drive to go somewhere nobody has ever gone before. At the end of the day, the story of the MRB constant teaches us something really important. Some quests don't need a practical reason to exist. The pursuit itself, the simple act of pushing our boundaries just to see if we can, that is its own reward. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. This whole quest is really just a perfect symbol of human curiosity. And it makes you wonder, right? What are our modern-day Everests? What are the impossible challenges that we're tackling right now? Not for any prize or practical gain, but just to prove that they can be done.